My name is Brian Graham, and I'm the Cub Master for Pack 10 at Nativity. Also an adult training coordinator for Troop 48 out of St. Paul Lutheran Church.
I'm Griffin Dement-Graham, and I am a Weeblo in Pack 10.
Well, I was a Cub Scout here in Dubuque as a kid. I went to Fulton School, and at that time they had a Pack 4. So I went through Cub Scouting, and then I crossed over into Boy Scouts, also, and at Troop 48, the same one that my oldest son Harrison is in now.
5, I think.
You started in first grade.
Yeah, so right now 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least as official Cub Scout. With an older brother, he tagged along and basically, you know, grew up with Scouts. Well, when I first started as a boy, they didn't have Tiger Cubs. And then, let's see, the rank advancement was different. You know, the pins were different. They still had belt loops, but they weren't called adventures and that kind of stuff. And then when I went into Boy Scouts, it was pretty much mostly men, adults, that were in the troop. And at the pack level, it was a mixture of both men and women, but at the older level, it was mostly men. And now, when I got back involved with it, after my oldest got into it, it's not that way. You know, actually, at the pack level that I'm at, I have more men adults than women, but at the troop level, there's actually more women, you know, that show up to the meetings and that kind of stuff. As far as, well, it's a really close match. I think I think they just show up more to the meetings, whereas on the campouts and stuff, that's usually weighted more towards men that are going on those, but that's been climbing up as well, so. Well, I didn't get out of it what I should have when I was a boy. I got distracted when I got into high school, and I had a lot of fun, and I went to Philmont, and I went to Boundary Waters, but it just, you know, I got distracted, got involved in extracurricular activities and that kind of stuff, and got a job. And then when our oldest was old enough to be in the Cub Scouts, I went to the first this registration sign up, and at the time I was working second shift, so I couldn't really do much of the leadership role. But he was all excited about it, and we did that first year, and I decided to, basically, our den leader sort of fizzled out partway through the year, and so he didn't get out of it what I wanted him to get out of it, and so that's when I decided to, I'll make it work, so.
Camp Klaus Gaga Ball. It's basically where there's this fence around you and in the start area, and you have a ball, and if you get hit and you only use your hands to hit the ball, and if you get hit under the knee, then you're out, and if you hit over the fence, then you're out as well. And it's always whoever's the last man standing wins. And always people try to make teams so they can survive the longest, but people always go against me. I've learned knife safety, how to make campfire safety, all sorts of stuff that I've learned archery safety, and while I'm in Boy Scouts, I'm gonna probably learn to be able to shoot guns and stuff, and gun safety. Well, probably being able to stay at camp longer, because right now I only get to stay 2 nights. While I'm in Boy Scouts, I get to stay a week, so that's probably what I'm most excited for. I'd never want to leave.
As a Cub Scout, I just remember having fun, really. I mean, we always met at the den leader's house, which was usually my mom. And that was always more like just a group of friends that we would go there and have a snack and then do some stuff. And we didn't go camping at all back then. I don't know if it was allowed, and we just didn't do it, or what. But of course, we had the Pinewood Derby, and we did that. And then as a Boy Scout, I remember, going on the campouts and just how I felt, being out there in the wild, with only the people your group that you're with. And like, I remember up in the Boundary Waters, we went for like 4 days without seeing another person other than our crew, and that was really neat. And also, it was so dark up there. On the clear nights, you could see, the cloudy part of the Milky Way. So this last summer, I went to Philmont with my oldest son, and I was hoping that we would have one of those nights. And thankfully, on the third night out, it was really clear, and we were close by a nice open field. And it was also the last night with our rangers, so we had a camp. Well, we pretended to have a campfire. They didn't want us to have fires, so we sat around the fire ring with our lights off and talked about what we'd done so far. And then I said, "Now, guys, I know you're tired, but it was like a mile walk to the pasture or whatever, the clearing, and a mile back." I was like, "We're going there." And then several of them didn't want to go at all. And I'm like, "I don't care. I'm pulling rank. This is the one time I'm going to make you do something that you don't want to do. We're doing it." And the ranger backed me up, and he's like, "I know what he wants. We're doing it." And so we got him out there, and then I had them turn off their lights. And the first thing one of them said was, why is it so dirty up there?" when he looked at the sky. And it was because of all the stars that he could see. And he's like, "Why is it, they're all sort of clustered and they're really light. It looks like, gauze or something." I was like, "Yeah, have you heard of the Milky Way? That's it." You can't see that in town. You can't see it just outside of town. You got to get way out, and not have any of that light pollution. And thankfully, we were able to do that. So that, I hope they remember it as fondly as I remembered it up in Canada. It's amazing the change you see in your son, through scouting. Granted, it doesn't, fix everything or whatever, but they learn skills that they normally wouldn't learn. They mature much sooner, and so I've got 3 boys. I've got a 14-year-old, and then you're 9 right now. You're gonna be 10.
No, I'm 10.
Or you're 10. Yeah. Okay. So we got 6, 10, and 14. When Harrison, my oldest, when he was 10, he was your age. And so you were 6 then, and Cooper was 2. Cooper was a toddler at the time, and he was playing with some toys. And Griffin, if I remember right, you were playing in there too.
Yeah.
And Harrison was playing video games.
Yeah.
And Cooper started to choke, right?
Yeah, he ate like this wedge of some plastic food.
Yeah, plastic cheese. And so it got stuck in his throat, and he couldn't breathe. And what happened?
Well, I just basically saw him lying on the floor choking, so I just ran to Harrison and like smacked him in the hand and said, Cooper's choking, and then he ran over and did the Heimlich maneuver and saved him.
Yeah, and then you went to go get Mom, didn't you? Yeah, which she was only 2 rooms away, but by the time she got there, Harrison had already got it out of his throat. So it's one of those things that I don't know, if it would have gotten worse, but knowing that Harrison knew what to do, and that Griffin acted the way that he did too, it really brought home what they had learned, especially when after the fact. I didn't really talk to Griffin or Harrison about it right away. My wife called me at work and said she was all worked up, and she said that Harrison was her hero, and then she said what had happened, and I was dumbstruck and didn't know what to say. And Harrison didn't really want to talk about it at first. And about a week or so later, we were just in the kitchen, and I said, "Well, hey, sit down and so what happened?" And so he told me pretty much what Griffin said, And I asked, well, how did you know how to do that? And he said, well, you taught us first aid and Weeblos. And it really sort of floored me because, yeah, I had gone over it. You know, I hadn't drilled it to him. I'd covered it, you know, twice, you know, at least twice, I know, once a year for those 2 years of Weeblos. But, you know, you see it and you talk to them and they're focusing on the lights or flipping a bottle of water, trying to land it. You know, and it just looks like they're not paying attention, but it really sunk into me that it made a difference and that it sunk in, and that not only did, you know, he listen, but he actually knew what to do and did it at the time. So it was one of those, you know, proud moments for sure, but it was also really an awakening moment, I guess, for me. Because there's a lot of times when it's, you know, it feels like a thankless job. This weekend I took the boys camping, the pack camping, and it was just, you know, at the end of the day you're exhausted and you can't give any more. But then the next day or you get up and you do it again and you see how happy they are or whatever, or else the next day they say something. Like today we went and did a cleanup at his school, and two of the Cub Scouts that were, two of the Cub Scouts that went this weekend, they said that how much fun they had. So, you know, that's when you realize that it's worth what you put into it.
Well, if you haven't joined, I would suggest joining because it's really fun and you miss out on a lot if you don't join.